While Portland is famously the Rose City, it also has a fair number of rhododendrons, especially here in Laurelhurst Park. And that's thanks to the landscape architect Emmanuel Miche, who really set off a rhododendron craze in the early 19 teens. He was park superintendent here in Portland from 1908 to 1914. I'm Catherine McNur. I'm an environmental historian and professor at Portland State University, and I am creating a new course on Portland's parks, and I wanted to share some of the things I've been learning about the parks with you. Prior to being a park, this was the southern end of William Ladd's Hazelfern farm that was once filled with cows. While some of the trees from the farm are still here, Emmanuel Miche had to do a lot of landscaping to transform the farm into a park. Some of that involved digging out the pond, planting new trees, and designing the weaving paths. And it also involved rhododendrons. If Peninsula Park and later Washington Park were famous for their roses, Laurelhurst became known for its rhodies, decades before we had the Crystal Springs rhododendron gardens. Miche initially wrote to Adolf Aschoff, the supervisor at what was then known as the Cascade Range National Forest near Mount Hood, to ask for help. Rhododendrons are native to the area around Mount Hood, and Aschoff was an expert. Aschoff promised to harvest 2 truckloads of rhodies growing along small streams and swamps. Most of the rhododendrons in Laurelhurst Park likely come from Aschoff. Then Miche made a connection with Charles Sprague Sargent, Harvard's first director of Arnold Arboretum, after Sargent visited Portland. Botanists, horticulturists, and landscape designers really relied on a gift economy to get ahead in their professions, and this helped Miche's quest for more rhododendrons. Sargent wanted photos of Oregon's trees, and in exchange, he promised to send Miche seeds for rhododendrons collected in Asia. Sargent had been getting these seeds from E.H. Wilson, a British botanical collector who was traveling through China collecting plants to bring back to both Harvard and nurseries in England. While Aschoff and his staff directly got the rhododendrons from Mount Hood's forests, Wilson relied heavily on Chinese peasants to help him collect specimens and seeds and teach him about native plants and animals. Miche was excited to germinate the seeds and incorporate them into his designs in Laurelhurst. The rhododendrons of Laurelhurst Park were mainly planted in 1911, 1912, and 1913. In other words, at the start of the park over 120 years ago. Certainly some have been replaced, others have been heavily pruned back, but they're still thriving here on Rhododendron Hill. And now when you come to the park, I hope you'll know something more about who brought them here. Everyone from a landscape architect to a forester outside of Mount Hood to the peasants in Western China who collected the seeds.